EJ Crouch are extremely afraid of the cold, in fact.
And afraid of DK Metcalf. Honestly, I'm afraid of both.
Yes, exactly.
To be perfectly honest.
Particularly when in tandem. But pass catcher love-hate, DK Metcalf is the first name on the list.
He is. You heard the voice of DK Metcalf just there talking about the fact that they're in addition to wanting to go shirtless on this weekend against the Chiefs, he wants to, it's going to be a challenge without Tyler there, but, they're going to step up. And so the fact that there is no Tyler Lockett in this game, you feel good about DK Metcalf, who, by the way, so far this year leads all players in the NFL in terms of end zone targets. So even with Tyler Lockett there, he's getting a lot of looks in the end zone. You expect him to get even more. No team in the NFL has given up more touchdowns to opposing wide receivers than the Kansas City Chiefs. So I like DK Metcalf's chances at an anytime touchdown in this one. Wide receivers that have seen at least 7 targets against Kansas City, and again, with no Tyler Lockett, we expect Metcalf to be peppered with them in a game in which the Seahawks are double-digit underdogs. Wide receivers who have seen at least 7 targets against the Chiefs this year, averaging 20 points per game. DK Metcalf, a top 7 play for me this week.
All right, let's stay in that game. Let's go to JuJu Smith-Schuster, who's shown plenty of healthy signs of life, and now gets the Seattle pass defense.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The fact of the matter is that Seattle allows the 5th most yards per reception to the slot, which is obviously where JuJu lines up quite a bit. When JuJu has seen at least 5 targets this year, he's averaging 16.4 fantasy points per game. And so with 21 targets over the last 2 games, feels like he's finally back to being JuJu pre-concussion. Him and Mahomes on the same page. They're connecting. Yeah, give me JuJu Smith-Schuster as a top 15 play this week.
Okay, speaking of revivals, Diontae Johnson, much maligned, still will never score a touchdown, apparently, in his entire life, but he's been getting a ton of targets the past few weeks.
He's got a 34.6% target share over the last 4 games. Right, and including 40% in 2 of the last 3. At some point, he has to score a touchdown. He's had 123 targets this year, 0 touchdowns. At some point, the man has to get in the end zone. And so against the Raiders, I think he's got a shot at it. He has at least 1 end zone target in 6 of the past 8 games. They're working on it. They're trying to get him some looks here.
It reminds me of like Martin Scorsese never winning an Oscar. Diontae Johnson never getting a touchdown, but he won an Oscar for The Departed, and Diontae Johnson is going to score a touchdown one day.
Yeah, he absolutely will, and perhaps it's this week. Kenny Pickett back under center for the Steelers. You like that. I have Diontae Johnson as a top 20 play in Week 16.
All right, let's go to some others receiving votes.
Sure.
Headlined by Darius Slayton, wide receiver 1 in New York.
He really is. He's had at least 20% target share in 5 of the last 6 games. Since Week 10, he's playing the Vikings, right? And since Week 10, Minnesota allows the most receptions and the 2nd most yards per game to opposing wide receivers. Look, Gabe Davis, boy, oh boy. If ever there was a guy that he's Diontae Johnson, also East, you know. But the fact of the matter is that he's also a guy that is due. The fact of the matter is the Bears allow the 5th highest completion rate on deep passes this season. We know they're going to target Gabe Davis deep. I'm as a top 30 play, wide receiver 29. Detective Drake London makes the list here. He's had a 46% target share over the last 2 weeks, back-to-back games with 6 receptions for the first time this season. They'll be trailing in Baltimore and having to throw. Hey, if you need a tight end, Noah Fant playing the Chiefs. Again, no Tyler Lockett here, which leaves a 23.5% target share. Marquise Goodwin will get some of that, but my expectation here is that Fant, who scored in 2 of the last 3 games, should get some of that target share. Meanwhile, the Chiefs are bottom 6 in terms of most touchdowns allowed to opposing tight ends. And we talked about my guy, Chiggy Okonkwo, earlier in the show. 4 straight games with at least 5 targets. He's the 4th best tight end in fantasy over that stretch. 60% snap rate last week. It is Malik Willis under center, so I'm a little nervous about him, but, he's a tight end 2 with upside. He's a touchdown-dependent tight end 2.
Little nervous about Chig. Also a little nervous about Amari Cooper as we flip to the hate list. Amari Cooper's not being able to do anything with Deshaun Watson.
I mean, not a little nervous, really nervous. He's been brutal with Deshaun Watson. All 3 games that Watson has started, he's been under 60 receiving yards. He's been under 9 fantasy points. Yep. Under 9 fantasy points. And then you think about this game. Temperatures expected to be around 10 degrees, winds of 30 miles per hour, and could reach all the way up to 50 miles per hour. Amari Cooper has traditionally not played well in the cold. It's windy, so you think they're going to struggle to really pass the ball. The over-under is 32.5. Yeah. That is the lowest. That is tied for the lowest since 2009. Bad weather game, cold, windy. He hasn't had success with Watson yet. Low-scoring game. You would have to be truly, truly desperate to start Amari Cooper. The league in which I have Jalen Hurts and I'm not going to have him. The playoff team, my college buddy league. No Jalen Hurts, no Ken Walker. I'm not playing Amari Cooper in that league. Like I'm literally starting Gabe Davis, Adam Thielen, and somebody else. Like I'm trying to think who else it is, but somebody that's not good.
Yeah.
But because it's a deep league and it's like my wide receivers, I've gotten a lot of hurt. Like Brandon Cooks. If Brandon Cooks comes back, or maybe I'll start Elijah Moore tonight. Like that's what I'm looking at. But I want all those guys over Amari Cooper. Is my point. Like that's a murderer's row of like and still.
The way to think about it is the total's 32.5. The line's 2.5. So the expectation is the score is going to be like 17-15. So how many points are there to go around fantasy-wise? Not many. Let's go to Marquise Brown, who's in another game with a low total against the Bucs, where the total there is 40.5 on Sunday Night Football. The Bucs now 7.5-point favorites, but Marquise Brown has done nothing since coming back.
He's seen 8 targets in all 3 games, and yet he's averaging just 33 yards. He's playing the slot role. Like it's weird, right? The usage. They're not taking really deep shots to him. When they are taking deep shots, it's going to DeAndre Hopkins, and so he's had 3 receptions that have gained more than 10 yards since he's come back. Like, I mean, it's his average depth of target is really, really short, and so maybe the volume gets there, but Trace McSorley is expected to start. We don't have high expectations for him against the Buccaneers. Their offensive line is so beat up Arizona. Like they just, whether it was, we saw it with Colt McCoy and then, McSorley, I don't know. I'm out on Marquise Brown. He's outside my top 30 this week. And finally, Dawson Knox, the hero from last week. I get it. But the Bears, for all their struggles this year, they allow the fewest receptions and the 3rd fewest yards to opposing tight ends. Knox, when he doesn't score a touchdown, you talk about touchdown-dependent tight ends. When Dawson Knox doesn't get into the end zone, he averages a 6.2 fantasy points per game. And so the Bears, who have allowed just 3 touchdowns to tight ends this entire season, the last one coming in Week 10, this just feels like a really tough matchup for Dawson Knox. He is truly touchdown-dependent in a matchup where he's unlikely to score one.
Yep. All right, let's go to break. When we come back, quarterback love-hate, headlined by the Mercurial Tua Tagovailoa.
That's a good adjective for him.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.